This video explains how to construct Cornell Notes to help your revision. What are Cornell Notes? They're a way of summarising knowledge in an organised layout containing 3 parts. The main part is where you jot down information from lessons, revision videos, or things you've read. A narrow column on the left is for keywords or questions that will help you review the notes later on. Then the final space at the bottom is for you to briefly sum up the main points in your own words. This summary at the end pushes you to think about the main ideas, making sure that you've got a solid understanding. You can then use the keywords or questions and note sections to test yourself and review before the exams. Now we're going to look at an example of how you can construct Cornell Notes for maths. For this example, we're going to look at some work on solving equations. At the top, we're going to start by writing the title of the topic we're revising. We're going to look at an example at solving equations with brackets. Here we're going to write the topic that falls under, which is algebra, and then more specifically equations. Down this side we're going to write some keywords which we're going to fill in as we do the example, and in this section we're going to copy an example in. You could get these from places like Corporate Maths or from Sparks videos, or possibly an example from a revision guide. I'm going to put my subtitle example. Then I'm going to write out the question. Solve the equation for lots of x plus 3 equals 20. Now I'm using different colours when I'm solving this to highlight different things. So I'm going to start by, to solve this, my first step could be to expand the brackets. So in a different colour, I'm going to write my kind of step I'm doing to expand the brackets. Now you may do this in a number of different ways. I'm just going to show it for the moment with a neat grid method. So my 4 goes here, and I'll have an x there, a plus 3. I'm multiplying them, so we do 4 times x, which is 4x, 4 times 3, which is 12. So I can then say that 4 lots of x plus 3 is the same as 4x plus 12. So that means this bit here, I'm now going to replace with the 4x plus 12. So I can now write that equation as being 4x plus 12 equals 20. And now we've just got a standard 2-step equation that you'll be very familiar with solving. To do this, I'm going to start by doing the inverse operation. So instead of adding 12, I'm going to take 12 from both sides to keep the equations balanced, which gives me 4x equals 8. Inverse of timesing by 4 is to divide by 4, so that's both sides. And I get x equals 2. So I can say the solution to the equation for x plus 3 equals 20 is x equals 2. Now, whilst I've gone through this example, there's been some keywords that have come up a few times. So I'm going to add these in now in this column down the side. So the first keyword I'm going to talk about is solve, which was in the exam or the question itself. I could define solve as being work out the answer to a problem. Another key word we had in the question was an equation. And an equation, if I get the right colour, has an equal sign and is only true for a finite, which means there's not infinite, so there's only so many cases, number of solutions. And solutions come up a couple of times now. So a solution is, especially in the context of an equation, a value of a variable that makes a true statement from the equation when substituted into an equation. And the last part of the Cornell Notes is the bottom box here, which is the summary box. And in here, I would summarise the key steps that we've done to solve this equation. Now here, the extra kind of added bit in is with the brackets. So I'm going to summarise to say that to solve an equation containing brackets, I can first expand the brackets to remove them, then I can solve the equation like I would with a two-step linear equation. I could add in a bit more extra work in there with explaining how we solve a two-step linear equation with balancing both sides by using the inverse operation. So I could add that in the summary if I wanted to as well. Now that you've revisited a topic you weren't confident on and used the Cornell Notes to summarise this, you need to take time now to test yourself on this topic by answering questions to see if you've learnt it. That could look like doing past paper questions. In maths, a good website to get someone specific topics is m4ths.com. You could quiz yourself with flashcards if you've got any, or you've made some already. You could also, if you've got a revision guide, answer questions from there. In maths, you could also go onto Sparks and search that topic and complete some questions on there and get that instant feedback. What's really important to remember is that revision is never over. It's a constant cycle you need to go through between now and your exams. If we look at the 3 key steps in that process, it's about testing yourself to practice and identify what you need to revise. Practice is so important. Even if it's things you can do, sometimes you do need to go back over that just to make sure that you haven't forgotten them, but maybe not make it a focus of your revision. You then need to go through and revise areas that you're weak on. There's different ways of doing that. You could watch support videos, read revision guides, read for your exercise book in certain subjects where you've got key information in there. But it's important you're active in that kind of revision by summarising, and you can use things like Cornell Notes that we've just looked at in this video, or mind maps, or other ways of summarising that learning. And then again, go back to testing yourself, making sure you can now do that topic and keeping coming back to that as often as you can do.